Did the Arizona Cardinals make a mistake punting on the preseason, Bo?
And who's trending up? Who's trending down for the Cards?
Now. There's some boys in this house. There's some boys in this house. Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Bo Brack in Studio K. Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. How we living on this football Monday, gentlemen?
I didn't know you were gonna have we are gonna have Johnny the Stallion remix, PHNX Cardinals style, but beautiful. We're several blessings today on a PHNX Cardinals football Monday. That was unreal.
Wow. Well, we're kicking off a new week of phenomenal number one Arizona Cardinal podcast programming here on PHNX Cardinals. A lot to discuss, some to celebrate, and then some questions, gentlemen, Damon, Bo, that we got to ask here on a football Monday because, you know, we grinded hard in the studio. We watched the Cardinals basically punt on another preseason game as it relates to playing not only their starters, but a large majority of notable players for this team have not participated. Mm-hmm. Yet I'm flipping around the tube on Sunday and the better part of Saturday, and there's Brock Purdy, and there's Patrick Mahomes, and there's everybody under the sun, minus the LA Rams. They're all playing within the landscape of the preseason. And I wanted to start off today's show because, again, Jonathan Gannon spoke about it, Bo. You were with him today in Tempe. Did the Arizona Cardinals, are they making a mistake and putting too much pressure on themselves ahead of week 1 against Buffalo by not playing anybody in the preseason? They are punting. If you think that anybody of note is going to be playing come Sunday against the Denver Broncos, I got news for you. They're signing USFL players right now today to fill out that roster for Sunday. That should just give you an idea of what they're going to do.
Yeah, along with a roster cut nearly a week before the team has to cut down from 90 to 53. But it is, I feel a little jealous of other NFL teams. They're getting their Christmas gifts early. Well, we have to wait until the day up, right? And that's tough. As a child who wants to open up gifts with the rest of his friends, we're a family that is we're digging in, and once Christmas morning comes, we can open our gifts on opening day against the Buffalo Bills. Nothing before that, none leading up to it. Hey, this is your gift for Christmas, so don't worry about it when the day comes, or hey, you can open this up on Christmas Eve. None of those shenanigans. It's strictly opening it up on Christmas morning, which is I like that to an extent. That's good tradition. But at the same time, you know, talking to Jonathan Gannon today, you know, in particular, I asked about Darius Robinson, you know, how he kind of had his uniform on before the kickoff and, you know, but we don't see him in that game. It would have been his second game as a pro, as we saw his debut preseason week 1 look great. Gannon said it's just because he had a ton of snaps in the joint practice. Also talked to Trey Benson today, and Trey Benson was like, that was like playing 3 games in just a matter of days. That's how intense things were. So you got to take in consideration at least who wasn't available this preseason week 2 based on that they had 2 pretty intense practices with the Colts leading up to it.
That's fair. And I think that your rationale right there and Trey Benson's answer is the most logical response that I can think of as it relates to what's going on. Because again, people in the chat, I love this comment here. The only thing you miss is the social media buzz from dunking on some twos. Hello, Bo Nix, right? And the gross love affair that Sean Payton and Bo Nix feel like they're earning here, winning meaningless games in the preseason. Awesome that you were 7 of 8 for 26 yards, Bo Nix. But when the real games come, it's 1v1s. And here's what I'll say. I don't love it from an optic standpoint. I would like to see Kyler Murray in this offense at full strength get a possession or 2. But that has happened, whether we like it or not, during practice, right? And they have seen enough. However, fair or not, and I emphasize that, fair or not, this team will be judged if they start slow against Buffalo, if they start slow against the LA Rams, the Detroit Lions. We have lined it up. They have a murderer's row schedule the first 6 to 8 games, Pro Bowl quarterback after Pro Bowl quarterback, that this team is going to have to find a way to survive. There it is, Damon Dawg. Buffalo, LA, Detroit, 3 playoff teams from last year. Washington, you best not lose to Cliff Kingsbury coming to town. Then San Francisco, Green Bay, the LA Chargers, the Miami Dolphins. 6 of your first 8 were playoff teams last year, and 7 of 8 have playoff odds, if you count the Chargers, to make the postseason in 2024. Mm-hmm. So again, it just, when you say it out loud and you see that piece and you see the breakdown of the schedule, it's like, wait a minute, we're not playing anybody for 3 weeks. We're not seeing the starting offense gel in sync before week 1 when this team has to go to Buffalo. I'm all for it if it works. Mm-hmm. And again, this is very much our first year, because last year they could barely field the team. Let's call it what it is. Their starting quarterback coincidentally just announced his retirement today, when in fact he was retired during training camp last football. So you can throw out that preseason, that trade from a year ago. It didn't make any sense. Everybody got a mulligan. This is who Jonathan Gannon's Cardinals want to be in August, and I am all for it. Big thumbs up from Johnny Boy if it works. Buffalo,
right?
It's 21-0, middle of the second quarter. People are going to be pissed in the chat. People are going to be in their seats.
No, I do agree with that. And you mentioned Washington, and it's unacceptable to lose to Cliffy Boy, who's up to his own tricks, his old tricks, as we saw today. And we'll get into it a little bit later. But, we used to always say, like, this organization, especially under Kingsbury and Keim, it went against the grain so many times.
Yeah.
And it's fine to be unique and strange, but if you're winning, right? Because then it's just like, it's colorful. But then if you're losing, if you're 4-13 back-to-back seasons, you're like, okay, well, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't have some method to the madness, then it's not worth it. Then go back to the drawing board. And I think that Jonathan Gannon is always trying to tweak how he gets his team prepared. It's all about the process. And, he joked at the end of last season, like after his first season, like, did he learn anything? He's like, yeah, I might have just learned that I want to burn it all to the ground and start fresh. And, I think he took some of the concepts that worked and then some of the stuff that didn't, and then things that he learned along the way and put it in place going into his second off season and now training camp and preseason. And they feel pretty confident that they put pretty good just process in place. And I think, is this what it's always going to look like under Jonathan Gannon, the preseason, where you're never going to see any starters? I don't necessarily think so. Like, if they do line up another rock solid, like, team to joint practice with, you can probably bet that the starters aren't going to play at least that week. And the number one concern or focus, and Zay Jones kind of revealed this, is that the starters get to week 1 as healthy as possible. It felt like, they talk about Jonathan Gannon has the 5 buckets and health is one of them. And it seems like that one is emphasized as much as possible right now.
You can sell me on there's continuity and there's been repetition. Kyler Murray knows what he's doing. Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, they know their role, right? But, like, I don't care if they're a veteran or not. Like, Evan Brown's never started a game for this franchise. Jonah Williams hasn't played right tackle in a hot minute. Like, I think the Arizona Cardinals could benefit from, let's see Mac Wilson play a little inside linebacker under JG, which is going to be different from playing in Cleveland and New England, right? You can mix it up without saying, oh yeah, like, we're going to sit everybody.
Yeah.
It's alarming to me when we were watching Saturday night, and it's like, not only were the ones not playing, the large majority of the twos were not playing. Like, outside of, they had to play their twos on the offensive line because who do you throw out there in that instance? Right. But, like, defensively, I am shocked with the lack of, notables that are out there, because, again, as we're reminded time and time again, this defense does not have household names. This defense isn't littered with Pro Bowlers. They've got a lot of young players. I would love to see their ability to gel together. And if that's happening, it better be over the course of practice from the past 6 weeks. Awesome. But I guess my pushback is, Sean McVay can do things that other coaches can't because he's built up the most equity I can imagine from any young coach in NFL history. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's won a Super Bowl. He'll probably get to another. They've been in the playoffs every year, but 2 since he's taken over. I think that if you're JG, I hate this because he's our boy, he's a friend of this podcast. You're leaving yourself open to criticism, and he knows that. That's the byproduct of coaching, and he would not be doing this. This is his decision. This is not an Ossenfort decision. Gannon controls this. Once the 53 is decided, he controls who plays and when. Right. He wouldn't be doing this if he didn't feel like it was the best interest of his team. So who am I to sit up here and question it? But everybody, yourself included, Craig Morgan, who's going to be in attendance at the Buffalo Bills away game, is going to have to sit in that press room if they look slow to start against Buffalo and say, do you regret not playing anybody in the preseason?
Yeah, it's putting a ton of accountability on the coaching staff and the players to get their work done behind the scenes, right? During training camp, during practices leading up to Buffalo. Because, if they do come out and it looks like 2022 where the Cardinals fell flat against the Kansas City Chiefs and just an absolute beat down of epic proportion to open a season, then you gotta answer a lot of tough questions and deservedly so. But, there's a big difference, right? Do you trust the people behind the scenes that they are putting in the work and that they are going to be prepared? And I also think, you have to really look at this organization and what they value. I know, Aaron Rappaport had the scoop on Dennis Daly getting released, and I'm sure that's via his representation getting the word out there that Dennis Daly's were looking for work. But for the most part, big moves don't sneak out of that organization, right? They don't do anything that doesn't benefit them winning football games. And when you look at the preseason, they just view the games and the stress rehearsal, the first team offense or defense going out there and getting some reps, they feel like they can find those and create that atmosphere on their own without putting people in harm's way, without showing anything schematically, and just putting themselves in the best way with the most cloak of the Buffalo Bills not understanding what they're going to see from this team on week one and having to adjust for it on the fly. They don't do anything. They're not going to put anything out there, and they have full power over it that is going to hurt them in the long run or even in the short term. I think that they don't see any value in it.
Eventually too, and maybe this is unique to this offseason because how many young players have they added to their team? And so let's let this rookie class shine. Let's let all these young players from round 2 and onward get a bunch of the snaps. I like that mindset because, again, on the flip side, if I play the counterpoint, the people who are making big time money, take care of your shit before week 1. I don't want to hear about a preseason necessary for a lot of these guys. But on the flip side, it's important for Max Melton and Tip Ryman and Isaiah Adams and Taylor Demerson to be out there and competing. So I'm all for that. Now, would I sacrifice a possession or 2 from our starters? I would. It's not the approach I would take. But again, we've got a lot of time to decipher it. Here is what I'm optimistic about. The first 2 picks of the Arizona Cardinals draft appear to be home runs by the mere fact that they're not playing in the preseason at all.
Right.
They're impact starters instantly. And I know that was not a high bar to climb for some with this Arizona Cardinal roster. We already know what we expect from Marv, and he absolutely obliterated the Colts defensive backs during practice last week when my co-host and my producer were there live. But Darius Robinson now basically being told, you're good. You don't need to play in this preseason game, Darius. I know he may not be a starter on week 1, which means nothing. Bilal Nichols can go out there for a play, and here comes big Darius Robinson.
Right.
Darius Robinson is going to end the year as your best defensive lineman. Book it.
Right. That's very bold. That's a very bold take. The 27th overall pick is going to be a good football player. Damon, do we have the clip?
It's not always been the case with this team now. Come on now.
With Jonathan Gannon, I'd asked him, was it, Darius Robinson and the work that he put in, was it a testament to him not playing in the preseason game? And he basically corrected me on this one. And actually, you know what? I didn't send that to you. My bad. You're probably like, what the hell are you talking about? But what I said earlier is here's a guy that played a lot of snaps in those 2 joint practices against the Colts, going against guys that are going to play a lot of snaps for the Colts, including their first team offense. And then something stuck out to me that Baldy told us in his breakdown of Darius Robinson is like, we don't know how his body's going to respond to playing 17 games for the first time. And one thing is like, we hear Marv talk about preparing for the rookie wall, but then you got these trench players where it's a whole different beast. And like you see, even like when the Arizona Cardinals are going up against each other and you're not really tackling, but if you've got like Darius Robinson coming out of the defensive line and going up against a tackle or a guard, and just how his head's getting snapped back, like each and every rep you're taking, I'm sure it's got to take a toll. And getting that guy who's going to play a significant snap load in his rookie season, I'm sure they're taking an account for that.
Absolutely. And the pressure that's going to be put on Darius is tenfold that he faced in the SEC. And so you want to try to pick your spots with these line of scrimmage players. So I'm all for that. Like Darius Robinson can be grandfathered in after, especially after that first preseason game when the guy started right with the ones and he was instantly your best player defensively. And then they quickly took him out. It's like, we've seen enough. We're good. And that's totally fine. But emphasis on, he got a possession or two. He played in the preseason, right? I have no idea what Jonah Williams looks like as a member of the Arizona Cardinals. He is in witness protection program until week 1. I have not seen him play a snap. And I say that tongue in cheek. I saw him at the red and white scrimmage. We've seen him in practice, but like that was their marquee free agent signing. I have not seen him play. Same with Mack Wilson, who got a 3-year contract. Justin Jones got a 3-year contract. I just think it's kind of odd that these guys who made big money, and I'm not talking about Budda Baker's made big money. Budda Baker doesn't need to play in the preseason. James Conner's been a member of this franchise. You keep James Conner in the garage until it's time to take the Corvette out. The rest of these guys, I mean, I probably want to get them integrated a little bit, but clearly it's a difference in philosophy. And if it works, they're going to look like geniuses. If Kyler Murray plays 17 games, I will come on this podcast and I will say, Jonathan Gannon, you're right. I'm sorry I ever doubted you, but it is strange to look around the NFL landscape and see every other team. And I'm not just talking about the starting quarterbacks, but like most of their first team is seeing some kind of action. Cardinals aren't playing anybody. They are actively telling you, we do not value the preseason by and large outside of making some decisions on the bottom end of our roster.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to see something cool like Kyler Murray throw a behind the back pass? Like that's
yes, I do want that in my life.
It'd be awesome, right? But it'd be a good trailer to the 2024 season. Absolutely. But I see somebody push back. Was it Arizona Animal or Arizona TV? Animal TV was the chat name? Saying schematically, we'll just look at the tape from last year. It's like, no. You got different actors playing the roles here.
Right.
Like Marvin Harrison Jr. is a far superior, X receiver than whoever was in that position last year. In addition to kind of bolster the run game a little bit. And obviously Kyler Murray going to the kind of the drawing table with Drew Petzing and saying, hey, I like this, but I don't like this. Let's put this in here. And this is where I feel most comfortable with these looks. I mean, why would you want to reveal any of that for games that don't matter? So I think that, I saw a stat today that the Rams have played 98% of their offensive snaps in the preseason in 11 personnel. They just aren't making any personnel packages changes at all. So it's just like people have different ways of kind of playing things tight to the vest while also evaluating, the players that are vying for roster spots. And man, do the Arizona Cardinals have a ton of them. And, look at the snap counts and who's been playing a lot. You'll see who's vying for a job on this team and who has their roster spot, pretty much solidified.
Boy, what a banger preview we're doing for our coverage Sunday of the Denver Broncos, Arizona Cardinals preseason game 3. But we're fired up to talk about that because there are decisions.
Baby. That's what it's all about. It's the Bo show on Sunday.
There are decisions, the real Bo, the Bo Brocks, not the Bo Nixes. There are decisions to be made with this roster. And again, not everything has been put to bed yet. And that brings us into trending up, trending down. But before we talk about who's trending up and who's trending down for the Arizona Cardinals, let's talk about our friends at Bet365. Of course, using the bonus code PHNX365 at sign up. You can dabble on the line if you want. If you're interested in dabbling on the last preseason
Always.
slate of the year until our football lords bless us with it next August again. Dabble with our friends at Bet365. But in all seriousness, they've got over-unders still popping off. Everybody and their mom's telling me this morning, you got to bet the Broncos over at 5.5, Bo. Well, you can do that right now. Bet365. Arizona Cardinals
printing money if you did that.
Arizona Cardinals at 6.5 right now at Bet365. That's actually the one you want to bet up. And then pretty soon you're going to be able to dabble on a full slate of college football action. Week 0. I know Damon Dawg, you're tapped into this weekend with a little action as it relates to those sweet, sweet Colorado Buffs. Damon Dawg.
Oh, we're all about the Bison, right? Is that what we
Bison? Yeah,
it's North Dakota State ball, and they're going to take us home. What is it on Saturday?
Is that the week 0 game? I know somebody kicks it off on Thursday usually, but look, I know Damon's looking forward to that matchup, and we're just looking for games that matter. Coming up, we've got Florida State, Georgia Tech on Saturday.
I like that.
I don't see. Is that just top 20?
It's the 29th, actually.
Oh, wow. Unfortunate.
We'll still be locked in for that game, though, using Bet365.
No doubt.
You can still use the bonus code. You can get the early line on it. And Damon Dawg says hammer the money line for the Bison. I don't hate it. And I also don't hate right now. You can deposit $10 using the bonus code PHNX365.
Plus
do the bet.
Doesn't Florida State just mollywop Georgia Tech? It's -11 Seminoles.
They lost a lot of good players.
Yeah,
they did, but they're going to be way more talented. North Dakota State +270, +9. I love it. I'm hammering both.
Hammer it. Bet and get an offer in place. A bet of $5 or more, get 150 in bonus bets, or the first bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. But here's how you do it. You download the Bet365 app, use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up, choose your offer, and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Now, you do have to be 21 years and older and physically located in the great state of Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, they can call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more information.
If you need more of maybe an income stream to fuel your Bet365 account, just get your stack started more so than the birthday checks that grandma used to write you. Check out Indeed. Indeed's going to get you hired, and it's going to help you hire for your company. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. Over 350 million people globally, according to Indeed data, are using the matching engine that helps you find quality candidates and fast. It's going to get the top resumes to the top of your stack and get you that candidate hired to your company. Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Our listeners right now can take advantage by just being a listener. You can get a $75 sponsored job credit. Get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed by listening to PHNX Cardinals podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire. You need Indeed.
Love our friends at Indeed. Love our friends in the chat. Super chat, Jason, $5. Kick off the program today. Video title. It all depends on how they play week 1. If they light it up, it's no mistake. If they bomb, then yes, he made a mistake sitting them. Hashtag PHNX Sports. Thank you so much, Jason, for the support on that level. And again, this is Gannon's time. And if you're a coach, I want you to go off of instincts and how you believe you're going to best serve your team. And this is Gannon saying, this is what's in the best interest of our team. And he would tell you that, me that, any member of this fan base, this community that. And I want him to make this decision. Is it going to be the correct one? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, but here's one thing that you can kind of, I guess, give a sigh of relief is that it's not just Jonathan Gannon spitballing in his office and just saying, hey, what do you want to do with the starters in preseason? And somebody's just like, we should sit them. I think we should play them. He's like, let's flip a coin and just see what comes up. And then we'll just go off of that. No, I mean, like they deep dive this thing and they make sure and feel like they put in place the correct process that's going to benefit the team the best. And like they say, it's case by case for each player, but we're kind of starting to see like, there's a different case for people who are full-fledged starters on this team and they're going to play, heavy snap loads and are going to be, high volume backup. And then there are guys that are fighting for roster spots. And, I think that when they geared up their practice schedule, you had the low tempo day, you had the medium tempo, the high tempo, and they based all that off of what they conducted and kind of figured out as the best path for this team leading into the regular season.
Last year, they managed to have Joshua Dobbs come off cold, albeit after a preseason with another team, and complete over 70% of his throws against the Commanders week 1. So it's not nothing. And again, I trust JG. We're going to keep a close eye on it, and I can't wait to see who plays on Sunday. We'll play a little game. We do it every Monday during the regular season and the preseason. It's trending up, trending down. Who's making their mark with the Arizona Cardinals? We haven't had much time to chat, Bo, since the dust settled on Saturday night. But some players helped themselves. Let's turn to trending up for this week.
Here's our list of 3 players, and 2 of them we got to talk to today. Cameron Thomas in the pass rush room. You saw him kind of kick inside too, where he was able to pull off a sack. 1 of 2 sacks for the third-year player out of San Diego State, Cam Thomas, and then Trey Benson, who had a really, really impressive day, playing mostly just, some of the first half, 9 carries, 43 yards. Got to talk to Trey, got some insights, takeaways from his performance, and then Keitrell Clark, who forced a fumble that I think, making his case to grab a roster spot on the final 53 a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, big fan of Trey Benson, what we saw on display, and I think more confidence running behind this second team unit. I can't wait to see what he does, as I tweeted out with the ones with Yelda Froldholt, Will Hernandez, and Paris Johnson Jr. And then again, Keitrell Clark had a nice day on Saturday. Low key, under the radar, tackled well. I hope there's a place for Keitrell on this roster. It's good to see him healthy again. He's been active. You've mentioned this a multitude of times. Cardinals are going to have a lot of tough decisions, but maybe no more so than at the DB spot. There are going to be multiple guys, that are going to go out there, and they're going to have to really perform for their job and their security on this roster. I think you could make a case right now. Keitrell Clark is a better corner right now than Elijah Jones, but Elijah Jones was the top 100 pick this year. Who's going to get the benefit of the doubt come cut down time? So there's going to be some interesting conversations that have to be had if you're Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon. But Keitrell Clark, after being forced to run with the 1s and 2s last year, he's in a good role now as a special teamer, a rotational DB. And, after getting to know him so much last year, I would hate to see him just kind of cut loose, but could be the byproduct, Bo, of how loaded this position group is with new athletes.
Yeah, they love his makeup, right? And then, what he's up against is being a 6th-round pick, maybe a little undersized, but he's a guy that I think they anticipate if he earns a spot, can take a jump in year 2, whatever his role may be. Now, Jonathan Gannon said something interesting today in regards to Darren Hall, because I was kind of pitting Darren Hall versus Keitrell Clark, and that kind of becomes a little tough when you're just going player for player on the roster and who's going to make the 53, where Gannon expressed that he sees Darren Hall more as kind of a nickel safety hybrid, where I see Keitrell Clark as a corner, and then he fits in the nickel and can play slot. So they're kind of different players. And
let's count the safeties, that how many you think they'll keep, and the names, and then let's do the same thing with the cornerback group. So starting with the safeties, Buda, Jalen, Rabbit, and Darren Hall, there's 4. Is that the 4 they carry?
Right. Does Darren Hall beat out Andre Chausseret?
I think so.
Okay.
He's had a really impressive preseason.
Okay. And I don't disagree with would the team, would they covet more of a veteran presence or a youthful guy who's just flying around? And I agree. Darren Hall, he's made his case so well over, whether it's training camp, practices, joint practices, and 2 preseason games now. Darren Hall has been all over the place.
So there's your 4 safeties. Again, if Gannon's calling him out by name today and you see him jump off the screen, to me, it's an easy decision. And a lot of people are asking, did he play in the XFL? I don't remember. I know he signed a futures contract with the Cardinals. He was once upon a time with, I think, the Colts and maybe the Atlanta Falcons, but I mean, he's only 24 years old. And I think Buda and Jalen are older players, especially Buda. I think you want to flush that position group with young athletes. Let's look at cornerback now.
Yeah.
And we know who the major players are. Sean Murphy-Bunting, Garrett Williams, Max Melton. Easy decisions there. 1, 2, 3. Then I think
Jones is a 3rd-round pick. He's not
getting cut.
Yeah.
Starling Thomas has made this team. There's 5. Are they going to carry 6?
Yeah, I think Keitrell Clark could play that role, especially if he's going to play teams. And I don't think like 6 is an egregious amount, and you're not really pushing the limits there. I mean, it's not a great place. It's not an enviable position to be in, like the 6th corner, when you've got guys who are way ahead of you as far as who's going to actually see the field.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to excel in a different spot, and that's got to be like special teams. So, yeah, I mean, so that would be 10 DBs, and that's about on par with what most NFL rosters carry.
Yep. And again, like guys like Jaden Davis, who we've had an opportunity to cover and interview here on the show, like practice squad eligible, work your way up. There's a lot of opportunity for growth there, but that's a young defensive back group outside of Buda Baker, who is approaching 30. Everybody else is like the average age of that group. You're looking at like 24, 25 years old.
Yeah. And Steve Keim would want to get like a 33-year-old safety on a 1-year deal probably in there.
Can we get it?
Feel comfortable.
Hamilton, get him back here and raise the age range up about 10 years there. But yeah, trending up this week was easy. I do want to touch on Cameron Thomas
real quick. We didn't talk too much. Let's give Cameron Thomas flowers. I know we did in the post game, but you know, he didn't have any sacks last year, right? And he had
which is shocking to me.
Yeah, he had and you and I think it was one of the guys we were wrong about going into the season. You know, he opens the season, he's in the right place at the right time, falls on the football, pushes it in the end zone, scoop and score against Washington, and then never heard of again. It's like your guy Dan in the preseason game on Saturday. I didn't know where he was. I was concerned of him. But yeah, Cameron Thomas, like we didn't get anything as far as pressure on opposing quarterbacks, where that's all we really saw from him and from different spots. And, you know, I talked to him, like first question I asked him today was like, look, you went from San Diego State to Vance Joseph's defense to Nick Rallis, Jonathan Gannon's defense. How much better are you feeling with that continuity, having the same play caller for the first time in your young career? And he's like, it's making a huge difference. Like he's just able to do what he needs to do. And he said that one of the things that Gannon kind of, asked him to do this offseason was focus on, throw his fastball more often. And it's really kind of, I think his repertoire, his fastball is getting after quarterbacks. So I think that they're just asking him to kind of narrow his focus on, putting pressure on opposing QBs.
Is there a possibility? I know we've talked about the weight loss and the weight gain and having to remake his body a couple times.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility I'm not saying he was out of shape. Maybe he was underweight. Is there a possibility he was not in a position to play the position they needed him to last year based on his physical stature?
Well, yeah. I mean, last year was when I had him confirm that today. I said, did you gain weight this offseason? He says, no, I actually maintained my weight from last year. The previous regime, Vance Joseph, Cliff, and the powers that be had him gain weight his first season. So he had dropped that weight last year. And now he's saying like, now he's getting to the point. I'm sorry, I fudged it up. His rookie season for VJ, he dropped weight and then he gained that back last year. And now he feels like he tweaked it. He's toned up a little bit and he feels in a good spot with that extra 10 pounds on.
He's on the Christian Bale routine, poor guy. We need to make sure. Let's just keep him at one way. Stop losing weight for roles.
From like The Machinist to Batman.
To The Dark Knight. Then, then he did that movie where he was the boxer. Come on. We need Cam Thomas. We need you at one weight and one weight only. And I think maybe they're seeing the benefit of that. Now, I don't want to overreact to one preseason game. I think he's made this team, though. I mean, especially with the situation with BJ Ojulari. Yeah. Here's what I can wrap my arms around. And I'm not going to be the person that sits here and dog on a player for being undrafted or they're a late round pick. However, with that being said, with all due respect, I mean, we remember covering that draft. And this isn't disrespectful to Cam Thomas. This might be disrespectful to other people, though.
Okay.
He was what was largely considered a fringe second rounder, solid third round pick by everybody. And that means nothing now 2 years later. But it tells me he had the ability to be a top 100 player. He was the best player at that university, albeit a small school. So think about that. The small school jump of San Diego State to the NFL, you're on one of the worst teams with one of the worst defensive coordinators, in my opinion. And now you start all over a new scheme. Like, maybe this is exactly what the Arizona Cardinals need. I remember in 2000, maybe 7, I can't remember when it was exactly, Bertrand Berry was supposed to rush the passer for this team. He got hurt. I think it was Bertrand Berry. Calvin Pace had been like a bust and wasn't very good. He was a first-round pick out of Wake Forest, and then they had a regime change, and nobody thought. It was kind of like Reddick's last year in Arizona. Nobody expected anything. I remember I wrote an article for a former site I used to work for, and I was like, why is Hassan Reddick even around? Like, can we move off of him? And I remember the same thing was being said about Calvin Pace. And Calvin Pace had a really nice year when nobody was expecting it, parlayed that into a big contract with the Jets, and then had like double-digit sack seasons for the Jets. Maybe this is one of those instances where, like Hassan, like Calvin Pace, maybe Cameron Thomas just needed an injury to B.J. Ojulari to say, no, I have this ability. Put me in positions. I can get after the quarterback. So I want to see him do it again against Zach Wilson this weekend, if Zach Wilson does play, or whomever they trot out for the Broncos. But I'm not writing this off as nothing. I've seen people do that online. Let's give it another week.
Mr. J, Johnny says, with all due respect, and even the chat takes cover. Yeah, everybody knows that what's coming next. It's probably the most. He's just gonna verbally spit in somebody's face after. With all due respect, no, but I also saw. I think it was Bees that says Joe Douglas is ready for. He's all over Cam Thomas and his potential.
If that's what's happening, if they're building up his value, then Monti Ossenfort, you are a saint. You are a god. I don't think that's what's happening though.
Yeah, here it is. He's Joe Douglas's next Bryce Huff. If you know, you know. Bryce Huff, who had 10 sacks and limited opportunities last year, parlayed into a big free agent deal. Look, I mean, when you have injuries like this, when an opportunity arises, and it's how guys make money in this league. You have to be able to take advantage of it. If you don't, then you go into kind of you just don't want, you go into football purgatory, and you 1 year vet minimums and try to make a roster, and it's just an uphill climb at that point. Where I think Cameron Thomas he bought in obviously early on, and that's why he's one of the few holdovers from the previous regime. And he was willing to do whatever was asked of him last year. And maybe he wasn't a scheme fit at first, but they've found a role for a guy, and you get why. Like, he has ability, and now they just want to emphasize where his strengths are. And if he can do that with playing time that maybe didn't exist with B.J. Ojulari being healthy, then good for him, and it could benefit the Cardinals.
You and I, make sure people understand this that are new to this show. We're not blowing smoke. Like, he was when 2022 ended and this team had nothing to build on.
Yeah.
He was what we considered one of their few ascending players on the team.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, shit, he's going to pop with JG. He'll be a good complementary piece of this defensive line. And it was so bizarre to watch them play last year, and he have no impact.
Yeah.
And I have to attribute it because he works hard. He's still around. Myjai Sanders, goodbye. Isaiah Simmons, get out of town. He's still here, along with Zaven Collins. And we know how they feel about Zaven. I am willing right now to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, scheme fit took a year. Remake Your Body took a year. The shambles of the defensive tackle group probably impacted him, and he's getting run over by interior offensive linemen. I think right now, Cameron Thomas, this is an ascending player for this team once again. You want to rotate him with Dennis Gardeck and Zaven Collins week 1, I'm all for it. Put him and Darius Robinson out there. He looked unblockable, albeit against twos on Saturday night. It was not nothing, in my opinion.
It doesn't help you sleep at night, but just, don't kill the messenger. But when you think about what the pass rush rotation is and who they legitimately could rely upon, it's Zaven, it's Dennis Gardeck, it's Xavier Thomas, it's Cameron Thomas right now.
That's it.
The Thomas Bros.
Those are B and C options.
Yeah.
Those are B and C options.
But those are the ones that's the quartet that needs to step up and overproduce what their projected, production is supposed to be.
And we didn't even talk about Xavier Thomas, another sack on Saturday night. Again, has a ways to go. I think early downs, run defense, knowing where to be.
We'll talk about throwing your fastball. I mean, we know what it is. If he just comes in and just throws smoke, he's throwing 99 and it's like, hey, pin your ears back, get after a quarterback. Then that's that's a roll.
Again, this unit, which I don't hate, just needs one more veteran to stabilize the group. That's it. They need one guy who's had a double-digit sack season that has a little bit of juice to help even it out. We need one more. Let's get into trending down following the preseason loss to the Colts. And again, a lot of folks that you guys probably assume would be on this list. Desmond Ridder, who had, by and large, one of the worst showings of the preseason thus far. A really tough second half after a bad first game for the Arizona Cardinals. Again, I think Sunday is his last outing with the club. I expect him to be cut after the third preseason game. I don't have that source directly, but he's been underwhelming. I don't think the Cardinals would hesitate, Bo, to move off of him, especially now with the Rondale Moore return being unfortunately null and void for Atlanta. Yeah. You can't have this guy on your roster. He's not presenting any kind of upside. You either keep Clayton Tune as your QB2 or you go out and you claim somebody, you sign a different quarterback. They did it last year with Dobbs. It can be done, but you've given Ridder every opportunity from OTAs, mini camp, training camp, preseason. Hey, grass, it's just not a good fit. You can just chalk that up. If somebody asks you, if you're Monti Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, hey, we brought a guy in. He's a young guy with a lot of experience, just not a good fit for this team.
Yeah, and I go back to what the philosophy is on game day, and what role does Desmond Ridder play? And it's like he's going to hold a 53-man roster spot. Is he going to be part of the 40 plus that get to wear a jersey on game day? Like, it just doesn't make sense. The guy had not only a tough preseason performance, 6 for 10, just really wasn't able to move the ball with him at quarterback. With the offense has led the Cardinals to just 3 points in 2 halves of football. It just hasn't been productive. And then, he gets in a 2-minute drill in the joint practices, and in first play, he overthrows his receiver and hits a safety right between the numbers. It's just, It's been a brutal camp and preseason for Ridder. And I just don't know where is it? Like, where's the upside? What's the point of keeping him on the roster? I saw Josh Weinfuss tweet out. He talked to a source within the organization, and they felt like maybe the quarterback, the backup, and I don't know how much I believe this is not even on the roster, but maybe like a third quarterback. Like, I don't see them keeping Ridder. Like, I could see them changing somebody in for Ridder before the start of the regular season. I just don't see the point now after seeing him perform throughout the preseason and training camp.
Christian Jones, right now feels like a guy who needs a developmental year. And again, I don't want to knock a rookie, but he had a tough night Saturday night. And what makes it harder for Christian Jones is the rest of this rookie class has performed relatively high. I know Isaiah Adams has his ebbs and flows, but if you look at a lot of the analytic breakdowns, Adams been a tremendous run blocker. You look at his PFF grade, like his physical tools are on display, whereas Christian Jones is a tackle. You got to be a little bit more refined. So I think his roster spot right now is tentative. I think he still makes it at the end of the day, but he's not going to be the swing tackle. I think Kelvin Beacham's in line to take that job. So Christian Jones really will just have to be a sponge this year, have an opportunity to learn from a lot of good veterans. I mean, he's got 3 really good players ahead of him on the depth chart if he makes this team. But again, you just see the speed of the NFL compared to the Big 12 last year. He's been in college for a long time. There's an adjustment period that he's going through right now. And unfortunately, it was on full display on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons that Monti Ossenfort, each and every offseason now that he's been at the helm of the Cardinals, been their architect, is he'll lock up some veterans on some team-friendly deals just so they have them in place that, they want to draft and develop if some of these guys need a little bit more seasoning. And Christian Jones is absolutely one of those guys. When you start crunching the numbers, it's you've got Paris Johnson Jr. is your starting left tackle. You've got Jonah Williams as your starting right tackle, and then you've got Beach as your swing. And I think you have the luxury of that trio of stashing a guy like Christian Jones because you want tackle depth, and I think you want something a little bit more upside than Elijah Wilkinson. And I know like some of you think I'm joking by saying that, but yeah, I mean, that's obvious. And then like, who else would be a tackle? Like an Austin Pleasance, who's been kind of a journeyman early in his career. Like I think Christian Jones gets the benefit. And like, I think 5th round is probably the round where, you're not necessarily guaranteed a roster spot. You don't want to miss on 5th round picks, but it doesn't exactly just guarantee a spot after your first training camp and preseason.
Well, we all like that pick. I don't want to say everybody, but we sat there late on day 3 and that was good value. And again, I'm not burying the kid yet. He's got a chance to go out and compete on Sunday, but like I like the value. And again, the rest of this rookie class, good Lord, it's on fire. Kudos to Monti Ossenfort, which makes this decision very difficult. Is Victor Dimukeje going to make this team? It looked like he had not 1, not 2, 3 opportunities to sack quarterback on Saturday. Multiple look like scheme fits or scheme designs to free him up. Could not make the quarterback uncomfortable for Indianapolis. Couldn't finish. And if I understand, if you're in an opportunity to play special teams, Victor Dimukeje, that's where most of your value is going to be. You had 4 sacks last year. But right now, I mean, in my opinion, you've been passed up by Xavier Thomas. I don't think that's a question. And then Cameron Thomas just reinserted his name into the discussion on Saturday night. So I think Victor Dimukeje, Jesse Luketa, these guys that, I mean, Luketa did have the strip sack that was nullified. So I want to give him credit. But Dimukeje right now, if you're not sacking 3rd stringers unblocked in a preseason game, and that's what it was. It was a 3rd string QB for Indianapolis. Yeah. You're going to tell me you're going to sack Josh Allen in week 1. Those are expectations we have for you. No, that's not realistic.
I know. It's like, it's tough when you see a guy get free and he's home and he can't finish the play. And, in the NFL, especially with Dimukeje, the first sack he missed, it turned into an extended drive and turned into a touchdown. And when you've got, raised expectations, sure, that might be fun. It's never fine, right? To have missed plays like that. And I just don't think, these near sacks, like at some point, you are who you are in the NFL. And like the team might feel differently. Like I know Nick Rawlis and Jonathan Gannon have a ton of respect for Victor Dimukeje. Like he's one of those guys, and I know sometimes you feel like it's hyperbole, but plays with violence. They love the violence that Dimukeje plays with. Yeah. Obviously, he's got a role on teams and stuff like that. But when you have a pass rush group or outside linebacker group where you need production from unique spots, like you need guys who are going to produce at least at some point. I know you're not going to get the consistent production that you're going to get from those lead guys that you look around the league that are, in the top 10 in sacks and top 20, but you need a guy that can get a quarterback on the ground and can finish plays.
I don't want to just go off of PFF grades for a week 2 preseason game because God help me, I'm a sicko. But Jesse Luketa was the highest rated player the Cardinals had and had a team high 93.9 pass rush grade. Victor Dimukeje was a very mundane 56.6, rushing the passer 44. Again, not the end all be all, but when it's that
crazy, he had a 44 and he was getting to the quarterback. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of it, he was unblocked a lot. It was just like, hey, you just got to run at the guy and tackle him, and he couldn't do that. We mentioned the Buffalo Bills come week 1. Are the Buffalo Bills starting to show a little cracks in the foundation ahead of week 1? We're going to talk about that. But before we do, I want to talk to you about my guy, Coach Stark's home here on a PHNX Cardinals Monday. As many of you know, Coach Stark's close friend of mine helped me buy my first home here in the East Valley.
With us.
And what's that?
I mean, he's close friends with the entire show.
I mean, that's maybe acquaintances with you, close friends of your boy, friends of a friend, I think we could say. But in all seriousness, he's the president of Coach Stark's Homes. This is Chris Stark via the West USA Realty. He was a high school basketball coach and educator for 20 plus years before real estate, 12 years as a head varsity coach. And what I got to know and have gotten to know about Chris is he values relationships with people. right? He's all about once upon a time his players and now his relationships with his clients. And again, he's been winning just like as a coach, best in the West 3 years in a row, 2020, 2021, 2022. And he's an avid listener of this fine podcast here. And he's worked with massive Cardinal fans, massive Cardinal players like Frank Sanders, Marte Jenkins on multiple occasions. And he's in Buckeye, from Maricopa to Tucson. He helped me in the East Valley. He will fight for you to find your best fit. But it does feel like rates are starting to go in the direction of a buyer. So now's the perfect time. Just get on his radar, and he is going to go the extra mile from you. He would come, this is a little inside baseball, from Buckeye to the East Valley on weeknights on a dime to be able to show me a house, my wife and I a house. And it ended up securing the house of our dreams here in the East Valley. So I'm telling you right now, if you're in the market for a home with interest rates the lowest they've been since last year in 2023, you got to get a hold of Coach Starks today. He's going to help you out. You can get in touch with him. I'm going to give everybody his phone number right now. If you're thinking about it, right? Just dip your toe in. I promise he'll take care of you. That's how I started. I didn't know if I was buying or not. It was the best decision I could have made. The number 623-695-3929, or check him out. His website's fantastic. CoachStarkHomes.com. Follow him on social at Coach Starks Homes. Give Chris a call. Tell him you heard about him through, of course, PHNX Cardinals. He's going to donate $1,200 of his commission to your closing costs because he's predicting the Cardinals, guess what? 12 games or more this year. 12-game winning streak. Or 12 game wins total. That's $1,200 in savings just for our friends here at PHNX Cardinals.
Love to hear that. I can't wait for the future Mr. and Mrs. Damon Dawg for Coach Stark to get them in their home, their forever home. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to bring, there's not going to be a dry eye in the house.
You got me tearing up.
I know, man.
This is emotional stuff.
Just thinking about it, the future Dawg family, it's going to be something else. You know, you talk about going from Buckeye to the East Valley, probably racking up the fuel mileage there. Oh, yeah. And you know that I'm sure Coach Stark is a member of the inner circle. He's got to be taking advantage of Circle K's unbelievable gas prices, pump prices. How about $3.49 right now, unleaded, putting in your vehicle. Plus, hey, are you a member of the inner circle? You can save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups just by signing up for this free app, this free membership. Then 3 cents after that. Then if you're a big baller like me, Damon, Dawg, Johnny, Coach Stark, you get that 5-cent echelon, and you're saving 5 cents per gallon on every pump of gas that you get. 69 cents on any size Froster or Polar Pop through the end of the summer, September 3rd. That remains one of the best deals around. Plus, they got so many great deals in this app. You can save 10 cents on fuel, plus great stuff like Monster. You get buy 2, get 1 free. Don't miss out on any deals. Become a member of the Inner Circle today. Don't delay. Go to CircleK.com for more details.
Fired up to talk about our friends at Circle K. Fired up for you to become a diehard at GoPHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year you are a diehard. And I'm diehard for the number 18 collection. You can't wrap a number 18 jersey yet in the Valley unless it maybe says AJ Green. But you can shop the number 18 collection with 3 of the best t-shirts we've ever done in this company, including my favorite, the MHGA tee. But how about the Maserati Marv tee? A little bit of cards math on the far right-hand side. 1 + 18 = 6. Again, any of these t-shirts for free if you become a diehard at GoPHNX.com. Then every purchase down the line from then on out, 20% off the merchandise locker. Load up your gear. The PHNX number 18 collection just in time for the regular season. You click order on these puppies today. They'll be at your doorstep before week 1. We'll be having a great time. Maybe a little watch party week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. More on that here in later days. But again, shop the number 18 collection, become a diehard, GoPHNX.com, Bo.
I love wearing the math tee, and there's, I've got lots of young nieces and nephews, and they're just learning, adding and subtracting, and they're like 1 + 18 = 6. That ain't right. I was like, Common Core's lied to you. It is a lie. And 1 + 18 does = 6. Just watch each and every Sunday.
Just tell them they're casuals. They don't know math.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was talking to a non-knower of ball.
Yeah. I didn't know you hated ball.
Yeah.
Let me educate
I like
you,
this
young
one
man.
too, by the way. This you can find in the locker. It's PHNX football t-shirt.
We have the best clothes. We have the best shirts. The little podcast that could of the fanboys. AZ Moses 89 super chat 199 JV Mr. With all due respect. I can't wait to bust that out when it really calls for it. AZ Moses 89 when somebody really deserves hey, he's a great human being, but with all due respect, get him off my team.
With all due respect, there's the door.
Yeah.
He's humanitarian.
Yeah.
With all due respect, Tip Ryman, I need you to catch more than one pass for 3 yards.
Come on.
Can I say that?
See some of the clips?
Can we just
see some of the clips where he's
are we allowed to put Tip Ryman and just Tip Ryman new?
How about Trey Benson calling him a lawnmower today? Called Tip Ryman a lawnmower. Trey Benson's sitting there. He's sending Tip Ryman clips from game film where he's just abusing defenders. But here's Johnny saying, "Hey, until you catch 50 balls for 800 yards, you're dead to me."
That's right.
With
you
all
play
due
tight
respect.
end, sir. Tight end is a dual threat position. Can we just call him Tip Ryman guard? Hey, Tip, you're going to play guard, but it's actually going to be a tight end guard combo. But you're a 6 offensive lineman. I'm okay with that. That's fine.
That's what Dennis Daly played for him in the preseason last year. It's like, okay, well, instead of actually playing six offensive linemen out there, actually a guy that can go maybe catch a pass if you need to. Dennis
Daly cut by the Arizona Cardinals today.
Man.
You reported that, Bo. But still, Cardinals are in good shape injury-wise. Outside of B.J. Ojulari, everybody, knock on wood, looks good ahead of week 1. Can't say the same for our week 1 opponent, those snarky little Buffalo Bills. What's going on with the Buffalo Bills? Oh, I'm playing receiver for them? Not quite, but it might get to that point. Damon, Dawg, let's see those Bills injuries ahead of week 1. Sounds like newly acquired the gem of free agency, Curtis Samuel, yes, still playing football, has a turf toe. He's having trouble moving around. DeMar Hamlin, starting safety, he's week to week, and now multiple weeks.
It's a crazy sentence in itself.
Yes, it is. It's pretty wild. Good for DeMar. Mitch Trubisky, knee. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, neck. He's out. He's not playing week 1. Quentin Morris, shoulder. So I counted 3 skill players that the Buffalo Bills likely are going to count on one way, shape, or form are maybe questionable, if not out, come week 1 for the Arizona Cardinals. That includes their starting inside linebacker, captain of their team. He's out indefinitely. If you're scoring at home, let's go through the Buffalo Bills receiving core. Of course, starting with second-round pick Keon Coleman. You would assume he's going to start. I saw him drop a pass over the weekend. The rest of the group, Khalil Shakir, okay?
Yeah, probably the best option.
Yep. Mac Hollins and KJ Hammer. And then potentially, with the injury now to Curtis Samuel, will Andy Isabella make the 53-man roster?
Lord, I've seen what you've done for other people. I ask that you do it for this podcast and let Andy Isabella suit up week 1 against the team that inexplicably drafted him ahead of the likes of DK Metcalf. I saw Josh Allen said Keon Coleman, quote, has the best body control he's ever seen.
No, that's a lie.
Apparently, he's never watched Marvin Harrison Jr. ever play football.
The Buffalo Bills are on pace to start a trio of receivers in Keon Coleman, KJ Hamler, and Khalil Shakir that have a combined, how about this, dating back to last year, a combined 51 yards receiving as a collective group. Of course, none for Keon Coleman. Shakir last year had 33 yards on 4 catches. And then who's the last guy? Hamler had 18 yards last year. That's their battery against MHJ, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson.
It's like that Green Bay playoff game where Aaron Rodgers had Jeff Janis as his top receiver, right? I mean, you can't count out QBs like Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. They can put teams on their back, but it does make things tough for them. And is it still 6.5? Is the spread still 6.5?
You guys, I'll look it up right now. You guys talk.
But I mean, even if Curtis Samuel is good to go, does that strike fear in Arizona Cardinals secondary? I don't think it does. I mean, it does your focus on keeping Josh Allen at bay and not going out and making plays with his legs and putting the team on his back, even more important. But like, you should be able to get enough stops to put the ball in your offense's hands to win a football game.
They have not had a good preseason, have the Buffalo Bills. They got run over by the Chicago Bears. They've been inconsistent. They're going to try to win with Josh Allen running the football and their tight ends. They have good tight ends, Dalton Kincaid, and then James Cook had a breakout year for them last year. Like, if you're JG and company, like it's you're blind if you're not seeing what they're about to try to do week one. Run the football 45, 50 times, work off of play action. But
you think like Sean Murphy Bunting and Max Melton and Starling Thomas, and they match up with Marvin Harrison Jr. every practice, and that Keon Coleman's going to throw something at them that they haven't seen before?
Still 6.5, by the way. But yes, to answer your question, no. I think they're going to have to play contained, have to be smart. That's where I worry about Xavier Thomas getting lost in space, because I mean, look what happened Saturday. They let a bunch of backups for Indianapolis, granted against their backups, go up and down the field a little bit. So, I like the Cardinals' chances week one. I know a lot of people are going to call that a homer pick. I think Buffalo's defense
Johnny Pom-Poms in the house.
Yeah, get the pom-poms out, get the face paint, red and white face paint. I'm telling you right now, Cardinals have all the mojo. They have every incentive to go in there and win this game. Sean McDermott's on the hot seat. That unit defensively has had turnover. They've had injuries. They are primed to be upset. I wouldn't even take the 6.5. I would just hammer the money line.
Money line. What is it? Plus, is it 230?
It was more than that, like 270, I think, at one point.
Wow.
So we'll see. Kyler Murray, Marv, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Trey McBride versus whatever the hell we just listed. I like my chances with the Redbirds. It's all about K1 though.
And it's not like they have a whole lot of veteran leadership to fall back on. They released a ton of those guys that have been part of the core of the Bills' run here, where they've won, the AFC East. What is it, 3-4 times in a row?
But if I asked you, Bo,
three.
It's so important. We talked about it earlier for the Cardinals to get off to a fast start. That receiving core we just named is not going to enable them to play from behind. What they want to do is they want to get a lead and they want to grind the Cardinals out. So if you're Kyler, you need points on the opening possession. You need points and force the issue so that Josh Allen's turning the ball over. He's forcing throws to Keon Coleman. That's how the Cardinals are going to win that game. If they play into the Buffalo's hands, it could be a long day. But, I mean, they have every opportunity now. 6.5 is just an egregious line. It's egregiously bad.
Cardinals are around plus 280 money line.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Cardinals can score, in my opinion, on just about anybody in the NFL. And I'm sorry, Buffalo's defense, Damon, you know this. You study AFC East football. It's very hit or miss, especially early in the season. It's good in November and December when they get their shit together, but they can be beat in September. They lose September games every year.
They're good. They're good when it gets cold in their own stadium. They're built for that. But particularly last year, I mean, their defense kind of went with Matt Milano, and he's not going to be playing week one. So, I think he's one of their team captains. They already lost about 10 team captains from last year. I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're going to have a lot of continuity out there. It feels like it's a fresh start. I like the Cardinals to take them by surprise.
Joe Brady is their play caller. Like on the offensive side of the football, he fizzled out as quick as he got to Carolina. He took over for Ken Dorsey at some point last year. I mean, how about our new head of production, Shane Diefenbach, getting in here out of pocket right out of gates? Everybody congratulate Shane on the promotion. We're excited about that.
I'm uncomfortable. Oops, wrong account.
You want me to get HR on the line for you?
Without the attempt to open up a big can of worms, I did want to point this out. FanDuel put out maybe one of the most egregiously bad lists. And again, I thought we were tired list season, but I guess not. I love me some Patrick Peterson, but this ain't it. Each NFL team's second GOAT, second greatest player of all time. And again, you could have an argument for a lot of these guys. Let's just focus on the Cardinals here. That's behind Larry Fitzgerald. Bo Brock, I'm giving you the floor. Patrick Peterson, yay or nay, is he the second greatest Cardinal ever?
It is pretty wild to think about. I mean, 7-time Pro Bowler, correct? Wearing a Cardinals uniform. I know
7 or 8. Yeah,
he reached the All-Pro status. But is he held in higher regard than like Aeneas Williams?
no.
Right?
Aeneas Williams is in the Hall of Fame.
Right. He's already got his bust in Canton. But like I think Peterson can make a strong case for you.
I disagree. I think this list is very much a prisoner of the moment.
Did Patrick Peterson make this list?
No, I think some 18-year-old made this list. Somebody who's only been watching football for a half an hour. There's a clear answer of who it is, and it's not Kurt Warner, and it's not Anquan Bolden, and it's not Aeneas Williams. Larry Wilson is the answer. Larry Wilson, 1966 Defensive Player of the Year. He was first team All-Pro 6 times, second team All-Pro once. He was an 8-time Pro Bowler. His jersey is retired. He was largely considered before Fitz the greatest Cardinal ever. He wore number 8. That's why nobody can wear 8 now. Mm-hmm. I know, like, there's schools of thought with people if you want to say best Arizona Cardinal versus St. Louis versus Chicago. If we're just talking about Cardinal football as a brand, Larry Fitzgerald is number 1. Followed by another Larry. Larry Wilson is number 2.
I can't disagree with that. I think that's a good call.
I had a different approach to this list. I was looking at what are the biggest poverty franchises in terms of players that are like seriously, like Jimmy Smith. I mean, come on, Jags fans. Yeah. That's tough to take. Right?
Who else is looking bad on here? I mean,
who's their number 1? Blake Bortles?
I think it's got to be the left tackle, right?
Oh, yeah.
Biselia, yeah.
Okay. How about Jari Evans behind Drew Brees?
Yeah, that one was tough. He's 4-time first-team All-Pro. I looked it up right now because I was going to call him out.
So but Von Miller's behind John Elway?
Yeah, like isn't Peyton better?
I don't know about Peyton just because he didn't play long enough in Denver, but like Shannon Sharp.
Terrell Davis.
I don't have an issue with it because he won them a Super Bowl. Like he did. They won a Super Bowl with a defensive team. I don't have an issue with that.
What about Chad Johnson? I mean, like I like the guy. He's a fun player, but that's your second greatest franchise's player of all time.
I'm guessing that's after rough. Munoz, isn't it?
That's pretty rough, man.
Probably.
Who's the Carolina Panthers' best player ever?
Yeah, are they saying it's
Cam Newton? I bet Cam? MVP.
Yeah. Okay.
Sammy Baugh, like how long has it been, gentlemen?
The Commanders are just like they're poverty bad. Like
even like the Super Bowl teams that they had in the early 90s and late 80s, like it wasn't chock full of stars. Like Darryl Green has to be probably their greatest player.
Oh, Shave's right in the chat. Steve Smith is the greatest Panther ever, not Cam Newton.
No.
I think saying Cam
Steve
Newton.
Smith, the receiver?
Yeah, he was great, but I think they're saying Cam Newton is my guess because he's MVP at quarterback.
Is the Hall of Fame. Is he in the Hall of Fame? Cam's not going to the Hall of Fame.
Wasn't even on the Super Bowl team.
He was in another Super Bowl though. Steve Smith Sr. He played the Rams.
You're right. Way back with like DeLome. Man,
Steve Smith Sr. Isn't he in the Hall of Fame?
Ice up. I don't think so.
Okay. I think he's largely considered the greatest Panther ever. And then I would put Cam behind him.
Is Josh Allen? I mean, that seems a little early now.
He's the greatest Bill. Is he second on that list? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they had him second.
Behind like Bruce Smith, Jim Kelly.
But I'm saying both those guys. I mean, Jim Kelly's surpassed what Josh Allen has done at this point of his career, and you can't have Bruce Smith not on there.
Right.
Michael, no disrespect. With all due respect, but this list is horrible. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a bad list. But Cardinals' second greatest player ever is Larry Wilson. If you want to say in Arizona, Pat P probably is the correct answer.
Yeah.
We've had Pat P on the show. I like Patrick Peterson. I hope his name is in the rafters one day. He puts his foot in his mouth and just says a bunch of dumb shit. And it's just like, can we just focus on how great of a player you were from 2012 to whenever?
Is OJ the greatest player? Could be, right? It's
2K,
not
2K in the 70s, or was it the 60s?
The
He's
juice
got a-
was in the 70s.
yeah.
Pretty impressive.
I in a line item McG, after one decent point, just polarizing one with the OJ comment, the Kyler thing. I think Kyler is not far off.
What would
For
Kyler
number
Murray
two.
have to do to get number 2?
Go to the playoffs and make a deep run. I mean, he's already like statistically, just because how futile it was, he's already like third statistically as a quarterback. Like total touchdowns, he's already got third most in franchise history, and he's going to approach, I think, third most passing yards in franchise history here probably this year with even a under par season.
If Kyler Murray ever makes an NFC Championship game, he is number 2 behind Larry, which is sad as a barometer, but he's about to have like the longest tenure of any Cardinal quarterback ever, like opening seasons up. We're like a year and a half away from that.
Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm ready to put him second overall.
It's a weird way to spell Marvin.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know what? That's a strike against the HTL crew out there. If Damon didn't hold the line for Marvin Harrison Jr. as the second best Cardinal of all time.
Bo, I need you. What is this Kirk Cousins birthday playlist, by the way? What is going on with this Kirk Cousins?
I saw he was playing some Jimmy Eat World. Did he have a little departure from Creed?
I put this in here because I just was like, what a giant dork Kirk Cousins is. It's a little small here, but I mean, like Stacy's mom and like
that's a terrible
right
song.
side. Like, dude, we're at a football practice. We're trying to get the boys hyped up.
This is bad.
I mean, it's just This Love by Maroon 5.
This isn't real. He didn't put this. Isn't real.
The Falcons Twitter account put this out and said Kirk's got the ox today. I swear to God.
Dirty Little Secret by All American Rejects.
It's bad, man.
This has got to be a joke. There's no way this is real.
He's just the dorkiest guy of all time. Stereo Hearts by Gym Class Heroes. Like, come on, dude. You think like the rest of the team is just like, what is going on?
I hope to God this is a joke. This
playlist went over like a fart in church, man. There's no people are like, what the hell is on the
Kirk, you've been traded to the New York Giants. Get out, pack your shit. Michael Penix comes in. He's just like, cut that music off. Let's go.
Let's get some bangers in here. Like, not to say that I'm not guilty of liking some of those songs on that playlist.
That's what I'm saying. Some of those are like This Love by Maroon 5. It's a good song, you know? That's a good album. Come on. But like, that's horrific at a practice field when you're trying to get the boys hyped.
Here, put that list up real quick, and I'll tell you which ones I would actually clear her. Okay. I get a lot of respect for Jimmy Eat World being the Arizona from Arizona.
Yes, I have no issue with that.
They get some great songs.
The middle was.
I don't think the middle is a song that you play at practice.
Foo Fighters are good.
Foo, absolutely.
Good Charlotte is egregiously bad.
Yeah, any
All Out Boys terrible.
Any playlist that features Good Charlotte, it torpedoes the entire and discredits everything on that playlist.
Yellow Card's terrible, awful.
Completely forgot about the existence of Yellow Card. Johnny, this brings me back to some old college playlists that were illegally downloaded.
Bo's Cool Jam Summertime's Mix. That what it was called.
Bo's definitely a Green Day guy.
Yeah. They're good. Can't deny that. One of the greatest American rock bands.
Gym Class Heroes, that's terrible. I think Maroon 5.
How about All American Rejects getting 2 spots on this playlist? I love Foo. I just don't know if I go with the Best of You for Foo.
Yeah, that's like one of the worst ones you probably could have picked.
You could sneak that into another list that's respectable and you'd be like, okay, that's fine. But having that be one of your marquee songs on here is pretty bad.
I'm glad you brought that up. That is What's the chat saying on this?
Most people think that now Kirk Cousins, after sharing that's going to have an awful year. And I agree with that.
You like that playlist? That's good.
It is.
Yeah. Just all time, just career worst year incoming for Kirk Cousins.
Man, what are they going to do with Michael Penix, man? He looks like he's ready. They won't put Michael Penix in a preseason game.
Fall Out Boy's worst song ever. Yeah, his team does. His team is just like, what are we doing? It's not even like when he was wearing the jewelry on the plane ride back from that Buffalo game and he's dancing around. It's like, okay, he's a lovable nerd. This is just like, all right, it's lost all its charm. Turn this off and get the original playlist back on.
It's like when people got sick of Russell Wilson's shtick and they're like, we're done. This had a shelf life. It's expired now. Go away. Like, especially when you've got a guy like Penix in the same QB room now where people are just like, why aren't we just playing this guy? This guy who can move around a little bit, that played college football for 10 years. Let's get Michael Penix some snaps. If the Browns and the Giants didn't have such gaudy QB contracts in their own building, Kirk Cousins would be traded yesterday. That's my hot take. The Browns paying Watson, who's been bad this camp, and Daniel Jones, who's the biggest fraud in all pro sports. Like Kirk Cousins would be with one of those two franchises. And I'm not saying that it's not possible before like the trade deadline. When a lot of the guarantees are paid, Kirk Cousins could absolutely be moved. They would love to have a mulligan. They would absolutely love to have a mulligan and just play Michael Penix right now.
Is his contract movable at all?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, every contract is movable.
I don't know. It's fully guaranteed. Cap hit $25 million this year. What's the dead though? Dead cap $90 million this year, $65 million.
Has he practiced at all?
Yeah, I think so.
With his bum leg. I'm going to tell you right now, they're scheduled to open up Steelers, Eagles, Chiefs. I mean, if they start, let's just say they start like 1-2, there will be people there saying like, get him out of the lineup. This ain't it. But on the flip side, I happen to think the Falcons are going to be pretty good this year because after what I've seen from Desmond Ridder as a member of the Arizona Cardinals, it was moving heaven and earth that team scored points last year, that they were actually like a viable team in the NFC South for part of the year.
If they lean on Bijan, they'll be all right.
Be a good team. Pride of Damon's high school.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny wanted me to draft Drake London second round yesterday. He was trying to get me to. It felt like he was sabotaging me a little bit.
No, it's not a league I play in. He goes,
now we know why he was trying to get out of the Waffle House last place spot most of the year. Moves like that.
I'll make a prediction right now. I will 100% make the playoffs in our league this year. It won't even be discussed that I'm ever in contention of going to Waffle House.
And what are you gonna do if that doesn't happen?
No, whatever you want me to do. I hope you guys got your licks in the last 2 years because like me sweating it out for 14 weeks. I'm going to have the most boring conservative team you've ever seen. And I'm clocking in and I'm clocking out. It's going to be the most blue collar fantasy football team you've ever seen. And I'm just going to meat and potatoes my games. Yeah, it does. I'm going to meat and potato my way into the postseason.
Mike Evans.
He's trying to talk you into Drake London, and he's saying, I'm going to have the most blue-collar team. That ain't blue-collar.
He's just going for consistency.
Right.
I respect that.
Well,
Alvin Kamara.
Drake London and Michael Pittman were right next to each other in this draft that he was doing. It's not like this is an egregious take. I was trying to get him to overdraft a player.
Wait, so
I'll put a bet on the line.
He said Drake London?
Yeah. I went with Pittman.
Yeah, no shit.
I watched him just cook for 3 days.
He cooked all last season.
He doesn't have Gardner Minshew anymore. Could be getting some hospital balls, courtesy of your boy Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson is good.
We'll think of something. I'll make the playoffs this year. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. Just like the Cardinals. It'll be a playoffs to spare this year come January. This show, it's gone off the rails today on a Football Monday.
It has.
We apologize, but we don't. We're fired up about our coverage this week. Hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Cardinals here on YouTube. Cardinals signed a free agent from the USFL today.
Yeah.
Notable signing or somebody get them through this Sunday's preseason game?
Yeah, get them through the preseason. I mean, I don't think you sign anybody with anticipating for them to fight and win a roster spot in as little as a week's time. I mean, they're off tomorrow. They practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then it's game time. So the guy would have to make a hell of an impression for himself. I mean, remember the guy who they picked up off the street before the Vikings game? They have like 2 or 3 sacks in the preseason finale and then was just sent walking. Remember that guy, the linebacker?
Yeah.
So probably a similar situation. But look, I mean, maybe an opportunity to maybe get a practice squad spot.
No news on the pass rush for the Arizona Cardinals, going with in-house options as of now. Cut downs happen week from today into tomorrow. So movement on the 53-man roster continues. Will the Arizona Cardinals make a move this week? We'll be covering it in full if they do. In the meantime, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Find PHNX Cardinals via wherever you get your podcasts. Follow, leave a like, and how about a 5-star review for your boys? Full coverage. Craig Morgan just dropped his banger of a new article following today's practice coverage here. Cam Thomas, JG, roster decisions, and a little bit more about what's going on with Dennis Daly, Rabbit, and Darius Robinson. Check it out right now for free at gophnx.com. Great to have Craig Morgan in the fold as our beat reporter here on PHNX Cardinals. For Bo Brack, Damon, Dawg, I'm Johnny Venerable. Thanks for joining us. We're back tomorrow. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.